Maybe your stupid opinions aren't right. And like, are you so sure your life is going so much the way you want it to go, and you're such a bloody paragon of virtue, and the light is shining out every orifice, and everyone who disabuses you of your notions is evil?
It's kind of funny because you wanted to sit there in the first place. But anyways, I moved you 14 times. Hey, yo, what's up? It is me, MCM, and this is You're Probably Right podcast. Today, I have a special guest, and my special guest's name is...
RC.
RC. Hopefully, I can hear you, and the microphone is working.
What's up?
All right. So, I figure you'll be my first guest on this show. And I'm going to ask you some things that you would know about, which would be online schooling. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to ask you how it's going and how it is and all that other stuff. And anyhow, I would just like to say again, you are listening to You're Probably Right podcast. And it is me, your host, MCM. You are welcome at my house anytime, but of course, figuratively speaking. And the intro that you probably heard before this was the one and only Jordan Peterson, the clinical psychologist and university professor, Canadian extraordinaire. So anyhow, tell me how you think about the intro. What do you think about the intro, kid?
I think it was pretty good.
I think it's pretty good. I'm still kind of working out the kinks for people, so I don't really know 100% what I'm doing. I will be doing a song, by the way, like I have in the last two podcasts, but I will be putting it at the end this time. So I guess you'll have to click through if you really wanted to hear those tunes. But on the other hand, if you don't want to hear my horrible singing, then guess what? You don't have to click through, so that's cool. So, how do you feel? How long have you been online, RC?
I've been in online school for about 2 years now.
Is it 2 years?
Yeah, because half of the grade 3 year, I had to switch to online school. So it was like 2.5 or 1.5.
Okay, relax, bud.
Well, yeah, it was 2.5.
Are you comfortable over there? Do you want to switch back to this seat? You seem a little bit
fine.
like, yeah, you good? All right. So, how are you feeling? Are you missing your friends? Because, I mean, that would be the obvious question that anybody would ask you.
I mean, I've had one of my friends here for like 4 years now in a row. Like,
Okay.
even online school, which is funny.
All right. And obviously you're saying no names.
Yeah, and it's actually two of my friends.
Okay.
And sometimes I go into like a separate meeting with them just to chill out and talk.
Okay.
So,
So, how do you find the teachers online?
I think the teachers are fine. They're not that bad. There's not really a difference compared to
Regular school, you sure?
yeah.
Right? How's the technical skills? Because one thing that I know is that the learning curve, or the things that, say, staff I have noticed have had to learn, is how to use things like Google Classroom, Zoom. Like, how are your teachers with using that stuff? Because some of your teachers are probably my age or older, and I know that everybody is not computer savvy. How have you experienced, or how do you think your teachers have navigated internet?
Most of my teachers were pretty good with it, except for one.
Who shall remain nameless? Okay, go on.
They needed help a lot. Like, from students.
From students. Were you able to help at all?
Yeah, I helped sometimes. Like, from the start of online school, I was pretty good at the computer stuff.
Okay. Why are you pretty good at the computer stuff, sir?
Well, before that, I didn't really use computers much, but I still knew, like, the internet, because I have, like, an iPad.
Okay.
So I knew, like, how to use the internet.
Okay, so has your computer skills got any better since you got your own computer?
Yes, for sure.
And do you like using the computer more than, say, the Chromebook that you were using when you first started online schooling?
Yeah, it has more features and it's just like easier and faster.
Yeah. Faster and easier, which is, I guess, what society is these days, people. What else would you like to tell me about online school?
I would say it's not that different from regular school. The only difference is that you're not physically going there.
Really? But what about gym? What about exercise?
Well, from my experience, gym and exercise pretty much is dancing.
Are you gonna keep saying from my experience? You know what you're sounding like? You know that video with the kid who keeps saying, what did he keep saying?
Like stuff like that?
No, not that guy. The little kid. What was he saying? Oh man, I can't remember. Oh, you remember?
No.
It was right. The kid was saying, "I've never been on TV before." What did he kept saying? He kept saying some funny word at the beginning of it. It wasn't like supposedly. It was. Oh, I can't remember.
Was it from like a movie? Was it from like a movie?
No, it was a YouTube video. And the kid kept saying stuff. I don't know. Let me see if I can pull it up. Well, if you can keep talking and saying stuff. What did he keep saying? What did that little kid? Let's see. Interviewing little kid. Now my microphone is in front of this. Let's see. Interview.
Yeah, I was saying. EPA and like gym is like dancing. From like the past 2 to 3 years, I've been in online school.
Okay.
And I just think it's kind of funny because dancing's pretty much not that close to gym.
Okay. No, it is. It's exercise.
Well, yeah, it's technically exercise.
It's 100% exercise. Especially the way you little dudes be doing your stuff.
Yeah, my teacher chooses from like, I don't know, like
a few different
videos. 6 of them out of like 100 of them.
Oh, 6 of what? What are you talking about?
Like 6 of the videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was this kid. Apparently, this guy. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to hear this at all. Listen.
I've never been on live television before, but apparently sometimes I don't watch the news because I'm a kid, and apparently every time grandpa just gives me a remote, I have to watch the Powerball.
Anyway, you just keep saying apparently. But anyway, I can't remember what the point of that was, but I'm sure the listeners will know what the heck I was talking about. But yeah. So, yeah, because of what you were saying. You kept saying in my experience. Whatever you say. You don't have to say that, boss. But I mean, you can be yourself at the same time. So you've been, it hasn't been 3 years, man.
Okay, like 2, like.
This all started a long time ago. It
started like the second half of grade 3.
Was it? It was
yeah, because it cut off.
Did it happen in 19?
No, I was like going to regular school, and it just cut off to.
No, but it started for us. It started in March 2020.
Yeah.
Right. Right now it's what? We're November 2021.
Yeah.
So it would have been almost 2 years, but that would have been like 6-7 months from now. Whatever. Let me say 6-7 months. That'd been like 5 months from now. So. Anyhow, yeah, it's been a while. It's been interesting. I mean, it's been easier having you around, and time that we've had off to watch you and help you with your schoolwork. I think it's been better. One thing I can tell you from a parent standpoint is that not having you in the middle of I'm trying to find the nice words to say, but not having you in the public school system for your education and upbringing has been nice for a parent. You understand what that means? Probably not, right? What I'm saying is, yes, the education that you're getting, the social between, talking to people and other kids at school and talking to other teachers, that's all good. But as a parent, I can honestly tell you it's been good, I believe, to have you home. So yes, you're getting your education from outside as far as math, writing, whatever, science and geography and French and stuff, fine, because stuff that I probably couldn't teach you anyways, although some of it I could teach you anyways. But from the social aspect, you're not having to suck in all of the stuff that they teach you at schools that I don't necessarily as a parent believe. And I believe you're at a young age where when you take in so much stuff from strangers, and each teacher I know personally brings in a little bit of what they believe into each of their classrooms. It's like, remember you had that teacher and she said, and I'm trying to, I don't want to have to cut anything, so I keep reminding you to not say any names, right? But remember one of your teachers was really into penguins?
Oh, yeah.
Everything was penguins and everything was penguins. And, it's just, that has nothing to do with the Ontario or Canadian curriculum. It's just something that she likes.
Yeah.
Or the good old Elf on the Shelf, which basically had you terrorized for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I was like scared of it. And then at one point I remember in kindergarten, they were like saying it was moving and stuff. And then I had to stay like inside at recess.
And you had the Elf on the Shelf.
Yeah, I saw them moving it. So then I was so confused. Like, wait, they were moving it this whole time?
Yeah. But that's my whole point. And they forgot you were there.
Yeah.
And they did it. But the whole thing is, I bought you the character Woody, right? From Toy Story fame, Disney. And you're scared to have Woody around because you thought that maybe he's going to move around or, jump on your head at nighttime. I don't know. So you didn't even want him out. So I spent like $60 on this Woody character from Disney, and then I couldn't even have it around. I had like put it in closets and lock it up. I don't even know where it is right now.
I was fine with it for a couple years.
Yeah, and then but that's my whole point, and this is the reason why I'm hoping you're understanding that. Yes, amazing school activity, running around, playing with your friends at recess, but there's a whole part of life, of education that you get from school that has nothing to do with you as a person or you as a child who I am raising, that you also learn from school. And what happens as a parent is many times, although education is great and although your social is great, there's a lot of stuff that you learn at school that I have to take time helping you unlearn. You understand?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, there may not be swearing at home, but at school, on recess, you'll hear all kinds of words that you probably never heard before. And some people would say, okay, well, it's good that you're getting a taste of the real world. But as a Christian, if I'm here trying to raise a godly child, or I'm trying to raise a child according to things that have to do with Christ and the Bible, it's difficult because I'm also fighting against stuff that's going on at school. And so your teachers might be like, or the school or the school system might be like, you need to learn this, you need to learn this. Who cares about what your parents say? And the Bible says something totally different.
Yeah,
we're not.
Aside from that, they could be like, dinosaurs were alive for like millions of years.
Right.
And then that might not be all true, and then you have to like explain to me that
I have to explain
not.
Exactly. So I have to explain or whatever it is. And a lot of people do believe that dinosaurs were here 600 million years ago, whatever it is, and blah blah blah. The Bible doesn't even say that the world's been around for 1 million years. Not even. But of course it sounds totally illogical. But just like some people like me might think that it sounds totally illogical for the earth to be that old, or for the earth to have begun with a big bang that they said. So that everything just happened to align itself perfectly. All the stars in the sky, the sun is exactly the distance from the earth, because apparently, and even the scientists will say, if the earth is just a little bit more close to the earth, we would all burn up. If the sun was just a little bit farther, we would all freeze because there wouldn't have been enough heat on Earth. There's these little things forget about all the different things that are on the planet, and the fact that, you would look around the room that you're sitting in, and you may have a TV, you may have a water bottle, a chair, leather, whatever, or a glass, or an iPhone, or an iPad, or all these different things, and everything that you're looking at literally came out of the earth. Now, if you believe that a big bang caused all these things into being, go ahead. I would just love for you to prove me how. And I can tell you, the people who try to explain that stuff, generally, they go around so many corners and so much things that they say that is guesswork, but they'll claim it to be fact, and therefore everybody has to believe it. I don't subscribe to so much of that stuff. So as I said, as a parent, getting back into what I was talking about in the first place, it is nice to know that I can raise you for the little time that I have you in the house without that much outside interference from the system. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Although it's probably not that fun, right?
Yeah.
But you have your couple friends on there. How do you think they're enjoying their time?
I'm honestly not sure. Like, I know one of my friends are like completely fine with it.
Yeah.
The other, I'm not so sure, because their parents are like really strict.
Okay.
So it could be hard for them, could not be. I'm not sure.
So let me ask you a question. Besides, like, your time that you get to, like, because you're a YouTuber, from that time you got to play on YouTube and make your videos and stuff like that, or play your video game Minecraft. Do you find yourself being sad a lot because you're not at school though?
Well, I know this one summer,
Yeah.
I was like crying in my bed, kind of.
In summer?
It was like the first day of summer or something,
Mm-hmm.
because school was over and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even going to regular school before that
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit.
What were you crying about?
Because I couldn't really see my friends and stuff.
Yeah, but it was summer.
Yeah.
Well, you hardly see your friends in summertime anyway. Usually
Yeah.
around family, more or less.
Well, that's the reason why.
So you're crying that you couldn't see them online even, you mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, but that's not what I'm asking you. But I understand that. But I'm saying, now that you're in school, but you're not physically at school, how upsetting is it for you?
It's not that upsetting for me. Like, I've gotten kind of used to it.
You got used to it.
So,
But you'd obviously rather be at school, right?
yeah, for sure.
Right. And notice we're not really talking about the pandemic, people. We're just a little conversation here between a father and son about his experience online. And I think that should wrap up that part of the show today. RC, I thank you for coming out. Is there anything else you want to tell the people?
If you're a kid and you're watching this, or listening,
Just watching. That'd be pretty boring, just watching numbers. Go ahead.
Stay strong,
Mhm.
and we're probably going to be able to go to school soon.
Looks like it.
So, try to do your best in school so far, and do your best.
All right, sir. Thank you. And this will be the end of this segment. Keep listening for more as the conversation gets a little deeper, but of course it will just be I. And on a different note, sorry, as I eat this gummy, you guys can probably hear me chewing, which is not exactly the most endearing thing I suppose I could possibly do, but I'm sorry, this gummy just tastes too good. Maybe I should do a commercial. No, I'm just joking. Just a couple thoughts here, and let me ramble in your ear a little bit. I was thinking, now for you, those of you who know NFL, this might, perk up your ears a little bit. For those of you who don't, I'm going to do my best to explain it as though I'm explaining it to somebody who knows nothing about the NFL, which is the National Football League. And don't worry, I'm not really talking football per se, so it's just kind of funny how sports sometimes, mirror life in general. But one thing I noticed, and you can Google this stuff to, you can check me and see if I know what I'm talking about. But I was thinking about Mathew Stafford and Goff. Now, what it was, I don't know if you remember the movie called Trading Places, where it was, I think, Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. And what it was Eddie Murphy was a little-time hustler. He was pretending to have no legs, and he would just go on the streets and he would beg. He was broke, but he was a smart, witty kid, but he needed money, and his only idea that he had was to trick people, con people, so that he can make money. Now, Dan Aykroyd, on the other hand, was an up-and-coming person in business, I believe, and I think he might have been marrying into money. And what happened was, there was two rich guys who decided to bet each other. I guess in this day and age, it'd be multi-millionaires, like maybe even billionaires, possibly. But they decided to have a $1 bet, that one of them decided that I could take someone off the street, loser, no good hustler, and slide him right into society, and he'd fit in. And at the same time, grab somebody who was living the high society life and flip his life around and realize that he couldn't do any better than the other guy who was living on the streets as a hustler. And although the movie probably wasn't the best of quality, I wish they would remake it, to tell you the truth, because it's such an amazing concept. And that's what I was thinking in my doing this podcast here, which I'm apologizing ahead of time. And I mean, if you're out there and you do a podcast, and I've noticed that some people may be listening that, are just dipping in for ideas for their own podcast. And if you can do it better, I mean, as long as you would give me a little credit at some point, it would be really nice to say, you know what, you can watch the podcast or listen to the podcast. You're probably right, the MCM. And, I was listening and I got this idea. Really, like, I don't care if you take my ideas. I don't care if you even take my whole idea of my show, but just, pay it forward or pay it backward, whatever you want to say. But I was thinking of these two football players. The reason why is because, we'll talk about Jared Goff. Jared Goff was an up-and-coming football player, and he's a quarterback, and so much potential, as though everybody thought. And he was playing on this team called the LA Rams. And there's a really, really famous video, if you check out YouTube, where he goes and he pretends to be an old guy, or just some guy who wants to be a quarterback, and he's trying to play in a men's league, and they just think it's just some idiot who doesn't know what he's doing. And then all of a sudden he just starts zinging these 60 or 50-yard passes, and they're like, what? Until, of course, he reveals himself, and yes, it is full-time football player from the LA Rams, Jared Goff. And everybody's like, oh, amazing. And it has millions of views. Probably the most popularity he's earned himself on his own, besides maybe his times at football in university, wherever he played. But I could be wrong. You can check me on that. And then there's Mathew Stafford. Now, he's known to have a good arm, but he didn't really have that amazing of a time in what team he was playing for, because unfortunately he was playing for the lowly Detroit Lions, and they were horrible. Especially, I'll just talk about, like, for the last few years. I'm going back maybe 5-6 years for these guys, or 4 years for these guys. So in other words, Mathew Stafford would be the Eddie Murphy character, and he just happened to be down on his luck and not making it in Detroit. And Jared Goff, on the other hand, is in amazing La La Land, LA, California, Los Angeles Rams. And what it was Jared's team, the Detroit Lions, last year, their record was, at the end of the season, it ended up being 5 wins and 11 losses, right? This year, they are, I won't get into Detroit yet, but yeah, so Mathew Stafford's Detroit Lions. Oh my gosh. Detroit Lions last year won 5 games and they had 11 losses. Last year, Matthew Stafford's LA Rams. No. Yeah, Jared Goff. Man, this is really mixing me up. All I know is Matthew Stafford was on the Detroit Lions last year, and they only won 5 games. They lost 11. Now Matthew Stafford is playing for the LA Rams, and this year they have won 8 games and they have 0 losses. And unfortunately, Jared Goff now, who was playing for the LA Rams last year, and last year they were mediocre, but last year they had 10 wins and 6 losses, so they were pretty good. They were a playoff team, but they just thought they could get better. Now what happened was, and trust me, it was a really good season. They have really good players on their team besides him, but they figured that these 2 guys would switch teams, so they put lowly Matthew Stafford from the Detroit Lions on the LA Rams team, and they put Jared Goff from the LA Rams, good team, down to the horrible Detroit Lions. This year, the Detroit Lions, with Jared Goff coming from a good team, they are 0 wins and 8 losses. On the other hand, Matthew Stafford, who's been playing for the horrible Detroit Lions for the past few years, they are 7 wins and Matthew Stafford now, he is on a team for the LA Rams at 7 wins and 1 loss. So Matthew Stafford, from all the horrible time that he's had, all of a sudden he's the come up kid. You know, Matthew Stafford basically is the Eddie Murphy character, and he is doing amazing. As a matter of fact, he may win MVP of the whole league. You know, it's funny how it goes, and you know, I will bring this, of course, into racial terms, of course, not too deeply, or just on people who are waiting for the American dream to be realized in their life. And I just sit back and I think, with some of the so-called privilege that I've had, you look at your privilege, or you look at your misfortune, you say, you know what, I wonder if I had that guy's looks, or I wonder if I had that person's brain, or I wish I had that person's photographic memory, or I wish I was able to memorize lines like these actors. Could I have been an actor? Because you know that acting, yes, you have to be able to take on a character, but you also have to be able to remember lines, and that is a gift that most people don't talk about. It's kind of like when we talk about athletes. And you know, I was a few weeks back talking about, you know, your body has to be, of course there's people like Muggsy Bogues, there's people like what's his name, Nate Robinson, who can jump and dunk and pass the ball and shoot the ball, and they're undersized. So Robinson is 5'8", Muggsy Bogues is 5'2" or 5'3", and there are a few players like that under 6 feet that are able to play in the NBA. But in a general sense, most people who play in the NBA are 6'4" and above. Even 6'4" is slightly short. But you know, sometimes as a regular person, you look back and you say, you know, I wonder. I used to play basketball, but I mean, I'm under 6 foot, so you know, I had next to no chance. I mean, there's hardly any people under the 6'4" height range doing anything in the NBA. And if they are, they're barely doing anything, even if they're 6'2", 6'3", you know, like Kyle Lowry and Russell Westbrook. And he's not even that short. He's like 6'3", 6'4". But these guys are hard to find dominating the sport. But there are people of those heights obviously doing that. But on average, you have to be of a certain height. You have to have a certain speed. And sometimes those of us who are not in those leagues and not being able to perform at that level, or people who don't have perfect pitch on their voice and can't sing, are not going to be, chances are, holding a concert or singing on a Backstreet Boys or wherever. If you don't have it, it's like something you just don't have. But you kind of wonder, well, I wonder if I could sing those keys. I wonder if I could play that instrument that well. What would my chances be of making it? And it's just funny also. And that's just from the really extreme side. But then there's also the side where you do have the skill to play in the NBA, but unfortunately you were born in Uganda and there was no scouts that came to see you, or you were really good at singing, but your studio was horrible, or maybe the person who was producing your music was not very good, or you the person who was your PR person. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's just funny how opportunity dictates a lot, even if you have the skill. Now, nobody's saying don't develop the skills, but I would say, for God's sakes, please don't be bitter if you don't get what somebody else has. And if you do, knock it out of the park. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's pretty much the situation that I wanted to talk about. And, it's just funny watching these two guys. As I said, if you are an NFL fan, it's just funny watching one guy come from a horrible team to a good team, and now he's amazing, and now he's going to be the MVP. It's like you kind of wonder what happened to those lost years of Matthew Stafford, those 3-4 years where he was playing on a trash team. If he was put on a good team, we might be talking about the best NFL quarterback ever, outside of maybe Tom Brady. Who knows? And his career is not over yet, you know what I mean? But it's just funny. It's like sometimes some people, all they need is time, space, and opportunity to make them become the man, the myth, and the legend. You know what I mean? And I mean, those of you who do watch sports, you can just think of all those amazing players that you knew that always played on crappy teams. And me being from Toronto, the Toronto Maple Leafs, I can just think of all the amazing players like Rick Vive, Dan Daou, and Russ Courtnall, and Wendell Clark, and Miracle Preacher, and Boreas Salming, and Daryl Sittler, and you can just go down, Sergei Berezin, Nikolai Antropov, all these guys who played a substantial amount of time in Toronto, but Toronto never needed to win, because the support for the team was like almost it definitely is a part of the culture. So people were going to the games no matter what, whether they won or lost. And that's the reason why the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967, before I was born. It's crazy. Whereas there's teams that have to compete every year, or people are just not going to show up to their games. Something that Toronto fans should really think about. Or maybe they should give us another team. Maybe we can get another team in, say, Durham or something, and watch everybody flock to those games as the two teams fight for our approval and actually win games, unlike what the Toronto Maple Leafs are doing. But that's just my opinion, and if you think I'm wrong, well, you know what? You're probably right. As Mr. Peterson would say. All right. And lastly, that was a little 15-minute interlude of nonsense, maybe not. I was also thinking of a tortured or blessed life. Now, how do I mean? Well, this part will be brought straight to you from the Word of God, otherwise known as the Bible. Let me get a drink first. Water. For I reckon that suffering of this present time, for I reckon that sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Now, I was thinking of this, sometimes I really do think of things that people complain who say, you know what, I can't believe in God because what kind of a God would let children die? Or what kind of a God would allow somebody to get terminal disease? Or like, what kind of a loving God? And then they say they can't believe, and they can't believe, and they can't believe. And I honestly would look to a scripture like this as a Christian. Because to be, a human being on this earth with a finite mind and a finite brain and a finite body, realizing this body is not here forever. And I could, or anybody could be born into this earth, and your parents could change their mind that they don't want kids and just chuck you in a dumpster and you starve to death and die. And then there could be someone who lives a blessed life, is filthy rich, has 49 cars for their self, and lives in the biggest house that you could get lost in. Enough rooms that you could sleep in one for a whole month and never sleep in the same room, like filthy rich. And maybe they rob people every day. They're a banker. And maybe they live to the age of 97. And they die falling off into an oblivion, and they just sleep away. No pain, never had any disease, never had a hard time, never had to fight for anything. Lived a pretty normal, happy, rich person's life. And you look at that person, and then you look at the person who maybe lived for an hour and a half and then spent the next 4 hours or 18 hours starving to death in a dumpster. And then somebody would look at that and say, well, how is there a God? How does he allow that? How does he allow suffering or starving in, say, Ethiopia or on the streets of Toronto? Maybe there was somebody who, I'm just giving you the scenarios of how things could be on this earth. And I'm sure you have your own stories where maybe you have a woman, per se, and she lived an okay life, went through elementary and junior high and high school, got into university, and did her undergraduates, did a master's, was in the middle of doing her doctorate, and then she got run over by a car, and she's dead. Or maybe you have a young boy who was raised in a normal family, and he happened to go to a trip to, say, Hawaii with his whole family, and everything is going great, and he's standing on the side of the boat when they were taking a cruise out in Hawaii, and he happened to rest on the wrong bar, and he falls off into the water, and he's eaten by a shark. You know what I mean? And I just think about all the different things that befall people, or all the things that don't befall people, and they're able to succeed and carry on with life. But nobody's deserving of any of these outcomes, But I hearken back again to that scripture. And this is for those of you who might be mixed up, maybe sad, maybe you were a believer and you second guess your faith. But I read Romans 8:8 out of the Holy Bible again to you. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Now, all I can say to you is, what if heaven is that amazing? It's been said that this life, even if you live to 114, that this life is like a blink of an eye in the future, in the rest of your actual life. What if it is? What if, you desiring for your child to have everything on this earth, and by by them having everything, they end up committing suicide and being an unbeliever because they have so much money and they've been blessed with so much wealth that they don't even see a need for a God, and they go to hell. I ask you, wouldn't you rather have the child who is dying of leukemia and they pass away and they go to heaven, or the child that's bullied all through their life and is overweight and lives a miserable life, never finds a mate, but is rich with eternal life and is going to live eternally in heaven for eons? That's where that scripture comes in again. For I reckon that the suffering of this present time, of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. So just saying to you and those people who may be having a hard time, or may have had a hard life, or may have had to watch somebody die, that there is a reason why rich people commit suicide. People who have no needs for themselves, people who don't need anything from anyone, still kill themselves. Maybe the smiling faces of starving children in Africa that are able to sing songs and haven't had a meal in 4 days, and even the meal that they had on that fourth day was just a cup of rice. But yet they have that inner joy in them. You know, maybe there's blessing on all that. Maybe there's blessings in not being blessed on this earth. Maybe the cup is really half full and not half empty. You know? It's just a thought. But I would say to you who are having a hard time and who are the called, those who are Christians, I would say to you, hold on to his hand. He cares about you. I care about you. And even if you think that nobody does, God does 100% care about you. He's watching over you, and he's going to turn it for your good. For those of you who don't believe, for those of you who are having easy time and easy life, maybe this is your heaven. Maybe you should watch out. Maybe you should just think about the words that I've said this evening. Anyhow, I hope this is a little different podcast today has been a blessing to you. You can check out, you can message if you want on YRP podcast at Google. At gmail.com, YRP podcast at gmail.com, and you can leave a message, or maybe there's something you want me to talk about. Eventually I hope to get through some guests, but at the same time, this may not be that type of podcast, but I might bring random people in my life to speak or just to bounce ideas off of, because as I said, a podcast is probably better with more than one person. But if you're vibing with what I'm saying, I'm cool with it, and I'm happy that you're here. And I'm going to throw a song on. Well, let me surprise you. Anyhow, thank you for checking me out again. This is MCM, and this is You're Probably Right podcast. Take care.